Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Click and Mortar podcast. Mike and Dustin here with you again. And this week, we want to talk about a really very important subject when it comes to digital advertising. And there's some nuance here, but essentially, we want to talk about your channel mix at launch. So when you're launching your ads, how we approach and our strategic approach for the channel mix, meaning what channels are you launching on and why? So your Google mix versus Meta versus YouTube versus TikTok. What and how should that mix be set forth when you're launching? And we're going to get into some nuance around that. For clarity's sake, we're not necessarily going to be talking in depth about the creative at each stage. We have another podcast on that, and we have a great piece of downloadable content on that, by the way. If you want to download that from our site, we have that as well. But we really want to talk about some nuance here in the channel mix when you're launching and pretty much in your prospecting and retargeting journeys. What should that mix be? So we're getting a little more detailed here on that mix of channels. And I'm going to kick it to Dustin, talk philosophically about what we do and why we do what we do at the beginning, and then we'll get into some more details. So Dustin, let's get into that initial strategy and that setup of our philosophy and why we do what we do for our B2B advertisers and how we set that forth at the beginning at launch.
So we're in marketing, so it only makes sense to start with funnel, and that's how we look at this. We approach, top, middle, bottom, and how are we going to shake someone's hand and get them down to a sale. So the channels that we typically use, it's very omni-channel. Each channel has specific use or a reason why we use it. And so to start, top of the funnel, we want to ensure we're getting the right person and the right audience into the funnel. So identifying channels that allow you to identify that right person is crucial. We like to use Google search and YouTube for their custom intent audiences because we can get in front of intent. They might work at different companies, company sizes, whatever, but we can tell if they are in market right now looking for your product or service. And our whole goal is to either get a video view on YouTube, get a click on search. But as soon as we have that, at least we know that at the top of the funnel, who we can retarget next is that person that's intent for the product or service that we offer. So that's typically what we will always have out the gate, are those two channels.
All right, so I'm going to jump in really quickly. So we're just breaking this down by section. So at the top of the funnel, looking for intent, essentially, depending probably on budget, you're talking about, and again, folks, we're not talking about the audience that you're targeting here. That's a separate conversation. And we have had that conversation. We probably will do more podcasts on that. But we're talking about the channel mix. And at that part of the funnel, Dustin, in your top of funnel prospecting, essentially you're talking about Google products here, right? You're talking about search and possibly YouTube as well. Is that safe to say?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So there's our top of the funnel. That's where we start. Search intent, getting in front of the right audiences. What's next?
Our whole goal is to build audience there. So whether they click and get to the website, watch a video, we then get in front of them with what is it that we actually do? What is our unique selling point? So now they know who we are and what problem we solve. How are we different? So this is where we start using more of the social channels. We can use social proof. This is where we use more graphics. Can use people who like your page, but there's a lot of benefits to the ad units that we can use on social. And this is TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. All of them have uniqueness that we can visually show some good numbers, visually show the unique selling points, and then they give us a lot of opportunity for copy. So, but this is where we'll really hammer the unique selling point and why you're different. We'll also use Performance Max and some of the demand generation or display campaigns, more of the visual stuff on the Google side of things. Depending on the content capabilities, we'll use YouTube if the content is available. So this is very omni-channel, but we visually want to show because that's what stands out, and then some room for longer copy so we can communicate the message.
Awesome. So middle of the funnel, when you're trying to spark interest and desire, again, we have another piece of content on a podcast on the creative piece. And it's also in that download that I mentioned, by the way. So feel free to download that. But in that middle of the funnel, desire and proof stage, you're talking those channels that are more visual. You can show more. You can show user-generated content. You can show reviews. You can show those types of things that show proof. So yes, your Metas, your LinkedIn's, possibly YouTube. Obviously, Meta includes both Instagram and Facebook. TikTok possibly as well.
Yep. You hit the nail perfectly on the head. And just a quick little to put a bow on it. The outcome that we're looking for is get traffic back to the website so we can build pixels. So that is the whole goal. So if you have a case study, you're driving back to a case study page, not just the home page. So just some context there, is that'll lead into the next piece that we go to, which is the bottom of the funnel.
Absolutely. So bottom of the funnels, next, you're looking to drive an action. What are the best channels for that? Or is it a mix? Where do we look in that part of the funnel?
Yep, it is a mix, and this is where it is kind of dependent on how do you as a business generate leads. Do you want phone calls? Do you want form fills? Do you want messages? So there are some nuances, and customize this to align with your sales process, but typically out the gate, there's always going to be, the social channels, the Meta, the LinkedIn, TikTok and whatnot. But rather than driving to the website, we'll use lead forms. And a lot of people use this at the top of the funnel and get unqualified leads, but this is where we'll use them, and it's frictionless. It's a great way to get contact information and qualified leads. So very heavy on retargeting on the social channels and specifically leveraging the lead ad form units. And then we will also use PPC again, and we'll do a lot of retargeting, but these are more direct response landing pages, the outcome that we're looking for. So PPC makes its way back, but more as a retargeting tactic. YouTube isn't used a whole lot here. So yeah, we're predominantly looking at social just to leverage their frictionless lead generation, and then PPC because it is so intent focused and we have the ability to retarget.
So at the bottom, it is a mix. You're going to use PPC on social. What determines that? Is it the business offer, the type of action that they're looking for, like you said? Or is there anything else? Are there signals that happen in the prospecting and in the middle of the funnel parts that then can determine what should happen at the bottom of the funnel? Are there those?
Not a whole lot of what actions happen at the middle. I mean, you could be kind of data dependent or focused. If you're getting a lot more traction or engagement on social, then social's probably more predominant in the bottom of the funnel, along with search volume. If you're in an industry where there's not a lot of search volume specifically for products or a big quantity, then PPC might not be a huge channel. I mean, social is a big piece of this. The other one, like you mentioned, is that lead type that you're looking for. If you're looking for phone calls, Meta has extensions and they do okay at that, but Google has call-only ads and they do a great job at driving phone calls and getting people connected. If you have live chat on your website, all the Google products are going to be much better at doing that. Meta is okay, but that's more driving traffic, and there's some tracking stuff there. So it is kind of nuanced or dependent on how you specifically want leads or people to come into your sales process. So, which is nuanced and case by case.
Any last words before we wrap up on this particular? I think I lost my battery, but this particular piece.
Nope. No, just really know what action you want someone to take, and then reach out to us and ask us or do some research and figure out what channels align best with that outcome or business activity that you're looking for.
All right. I think my camera's out, so why don't you close it out for the folks with our call to action?
Put me on the spot. Well, appreciate you guys tuning in, and if you guys want to set up a discovery call, you can click the link below. We love ideating and brainstorming, what is your setup and what opportunities are there that you might not be seeing? So don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to connect and unravel some opportunities that might be there. And if you haven't, make sure to subscribe. And if you have a great story and you're doing some good things, also reach out. We'd love to feature you on the podcast.